Can you see the can you see the recording symbol?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. That's
Yes, sir.
great. Okay. You can just mute your microphone if it is not needed. If you want to say, then you just unmute it. All right. Thank you very much, and thanks for your patience, and welcome back. And it is our first lecture with the introduction to philosophy. So, as it is the introductory session, so we'd like to talk about the philosophy, its scope, and also we'll try to evaluate our own idea of philosophy along with it. So let's talk about it first. Let's deal with the etymology of the philosophy. What do we mean by philosophy? Now, in the very first slide, you can see the etymological definition of philosophy. Here it says, the term philosophy is derived from the Greek word phylos, meaning to love, or philos, that means love, and sophy means wisdom. So philosophy is the love of wisdom. So you can see that in the ancient time when it started as it's not exactly as a discipline, but when it started as a subject, then people like Socrates and also before him, those who were the philosophers that we call them, they actually started these specific subject or this practice because they had a certain kind of love for the wisdom, love for the knowledge. So you can see philosophically it's a kind of love for the knowledge or love for the wisdom. So that is philosophy. And now in these days, the subjects that we can see, everything actually it was under the banner of the same subject or same discipline, that is philosophy. Then later on, all these subjects, they developed as a separate disciplines because time advanced and at the same time, subjects and knowledge, it also started getting very complicated and more vast. So that's why we needed to treat, I mean, most of the subjects that were discussed under the same umbrella term philosophy. So we needed to judge them as separate discipline. That's why we can see English department. That's why we can see physics or chemistry or computer science department. But earlier, all these, I mean, these streams of knowledge, actually, they were regarded as one subject, and that is philosophy. Now, in the next slide, here we can see that what could be the possible origin of philosophy. Now, there is a very good term, or a word is there. It says that according to Socrates, as Plato reports in his dialogues, that wonder is the only beginning of philosophy. Can you explain it to me, anyone? How? Wonder is the only beginning of philosophy. How does it work? Who can say? Who can tell me? Just try to explain it in your own way. Anyone? Masum? Is there anyone who can tell me? Wonder is the only beginning of philosophy. How? How actually wonder is important? What does it mean, wonder?
আশ্চর্য
Okay, but how can you express it in English?
চিন্তা করা, I think,
To?
think about anything.
Okay, you're very close. You're absolutely right. Think about something. Okay, anyone else?
Wondering, we can realize something that can make this philosophy.
Okay, to realize. Okay, anything else?
curious about something.
Who said that? Curious?
Curious, right?
Who said that?
Nishi.
Nishi. Okay, yeah, absolutely right. Actually, I was looking for that word, curiosity. That means if you don't have a curious mind, certainly you cannot develop any kind of love for wisdom. Only curious mind can create something new. They can lead or they can create something, or they can contribute to the existing knowledge. Because if scientists are not curious about the progression, scientists, if they are not curious about the facts and figures or the results or the effects, do you really think that they can create something? We can get lots of things. For example, whatever we are using, like laptop, cell phone, all these are the product of wonder. All these are the products of the curious minds. They thought about it, they dreamed about it, they imagined something like that. And they are fascinated by the existing facts and figures, and they are also thinking about creating something new. So this kind of fascination with the existing things, and also their curiosity to know more or to create something more, that really contributed to the existing knowledge. So that's why, I mean, he is very much right. I mean, Socrates, when he said that wonder is the only beginning of philosophy. That means when you wonder about something, when you get curious about something, then you can create something. And that is the, I mean, very beginning or the starting point for philosophy. Actually, philosophy here is synonymous to the knowledge. Philosophy is synonymous to wisdom. So you can say that is the beginning of knowledge, or that is the beginning of wisdom. Now, later, Aristotle, in response to his predecessors, especially the Ionian philosophers, said that it is owing to their wonder that man both now begin and at first began to philosophize. So you see, only because of the wonder. That means people started wondering about their surroundings. People started wondering about the existing phenomena that they can see. People started about wondering about the universe, the firmaments, or the stars, or everything that is in the sky or in the nature. So when they started wondering about all these things, and then they started contributing to the knowledge, because of their wondering, because of their curiosity, we get new knowledge. We get new knowledge. So that's why he's saying that. And at first, people began to philosophize because people started wondering about things and wondering about the phenomena. That is the thing. Now, Lenin, he says that on the saying that philosophy begins in the that is the term actually. I mean, it is taken from this particular text. It's very difficult to pronounce. He said that Tuamazin, then after a journal of art, context and inquiry. There actually he said that I mean the wonder. That is the first thing that if you really want to philosophize anything. Now, in the next slide, let's see what you have. Now, in the next slide, we can see it's talking about the definition of philosophy. Now, what is the definition of philosophy? Now, it says a philosophy is used in a variety of ways. Indeed, dictionaries gives multiple entries for philosophy. Roughly, these entries can be divided into three groups. So, actually, when we will collect information or the definition from different dictionaries, then you can put all these definitions into three different categories. First of all, philosophy as an academic discipline, philosophy as a set of beliefs or worldview, and philosophy as a study or inquiry. So in these three categories, you can put all the definitions, and then we can have a better understanding of the definitions of philosophy. So first of all, philosophy, we can consider it as an academic discipline, philosophy as a set of beliefs or worldview, and also philosophy as a study or inquiry. So we can study philosophy in the university as we're studying now as a subject. And also, you remember that in our last lecture, most probably yesterday, I asked you the question that, what is your philosophy of life? You remember that? I asked you a question, so what is your philosophy of life? And
Yes,
on all of us, we have our own philosophy of life. That means we have our set of beliefs or worldview. That how actually I wanted to be viewed, or how actually I want to view this world. That is your perception, your conception about the world. So that can be one way to define philosophy. And another way to define philosophy, when you take philosophy as a study or inquiry. But if you think that philosophy is something which is a study or inquiry, for example, logic, or if you really want to find kind of solutions to a particular problem, then you can inquire into that particular matter, and then you can philosophize it. Then we'll get a different kind of set of beliefs because of that study or inquiry. So we can also define philosophy in that as a study or as an inquiry. Now, the stereotype of philosophy. Now, this is a problem you can see in our society when you will find that people say that I study philosophy or he is a philosopher. usually we don't have a very good, what should I say? We don't have a very good idea about that particular person or that subject. If anybody says that I study philosophy, we all the time try to consider philosophy, I mean, from the very materialistic point of view. That means, for example, English is better than philosophy, and philosophy is better than history, or BBA is better than accounting. So you see, these kind of things. Why actually we do it? Because of the job market. So we consider it in that way. So there are certain kind of stereotypes. I mean, about philosophy. Now, definition one merely states that philosophy is something that is done at a university and doesn't say what philosophy actually is. This, however, usually leads to the common stereotype of philosophy involving two distinct elements. So the first definition we told you that if we take if we try to define philosophy as a discipline, then there are certain kinds of stereotypes. And in these stereotypes, you will find that there are two things or two distinct elements that are involved. One, mental rumination. Mental rumination. That means philosophy is done at a university and at a university only. And indeed, philosophy is seen by many as a kind of intellectual exercise in futility, absent-minded, bearded, white guys discussing abstract topics have no particular use whatsoever. So you see, mental rumination. So people are just thinking about something, they're just pondering about some points, but in reality, there is no solution, there is no end of it. And the people who are studying philosophy in the university, we think that they are very absent-minded. They will have long beard, and they will, or maybe they haven't shaved for years, or they didn't, maybe they don't comb their hairs. I mean, completely you can say we try to imagine or try to picture a kind of person which is completely, you can say, disheveled, or they are not organized. In such a way we try to think about people who are studying philosophy in the university. And also we think that philosophy is a kind of intellectual exercise, but there is no, there is, I mean, in futility, there is no fruit in it. If you please can mute your microphone if it is not needed. Please mute your microphone because other different kinds of sounds are coming out from your microphone. Whose microphone is on?
লিমা সাইদুল তোদের ওগুলো মিট
Yes, yes, please. Shahidul Lima. Okay. All right. Thank you. Now, so the mental rumination, that means they will just do some mental exercises, and these people are not like the common people. They are a little bit different. They are weird. They are strange, eccentric. So, I mean, that is our stereotyping about these people, our common idea about these people. But that is not true. And the second one is intellectual bullying. Philosophers always seem to know better and constantly plague us with questions. So we think that this is also, I mean, it's very common actually in our academic arena that, especially in the students from the philosophy department, we think that they always ask questions, they always like to argue because they are better informed, or they know how to ask questions, they know how to manipulate people's mind or their belief. So that's why we think that these people are like this. That means they're manipulative in that sense. And or we can say they're very argumentative. They always argue about very simple matter. They will also argue about it. They will ask questions about it. So we have this kind of stereotype, this kind of set belief about people who are studying philosophy as a discipline or as a department in university. Okay, so that is the problem with the first definition. Now, in the second, at the second place, we have said that the philosophy is as a set of beliefs. It's a set of beliefs. As I asked you that, what is your philosophy of life? That means what are the principles, common principles, or set of principles in your life that by which actually you want to be guided, or by which actually you want to lead your life. So when we take philosophy as set of beliefs, that what could be the possible definitions and what are the things about it? Now let's see, definition 2 defines philosophy as a worldview or set of beliefs. So you can take philosophy, or I can say that what is your philosophy of life? That means what is your worldview of life, or what is your worldview? How do you see the world? What is your perception and conception about the world? So that is the second definition that it will deal with this. Now here it says, notice that we can say a philosophy in this case, notice that we can say a philosophy in this case. That means we say this is a philosophy, this is a principle, in this way we can say. Indeed, there can be multiple philosophies in this sense of the word. So we can have multiple philosophy of life. For example, honesty, that is one of the philosophies of my life. Integrity, they are synonymous, but that is also one of the philosophies of my life. Then doing good for others, as you said in the last lecture. So that is one of the philosophies of my life. Then doing no harm to others, that is one of the philosophies of my life. Then giving charity to the people, that is one philosophy of my life. So you see, these are the philosophies. So a person can have a set of beliefs here. He can have different kinds of philosophies to lead his life or to guide his life. Okay, now in the same slide, in the second paragraph, it says that philosophies provide answers to difficult questions and thus often serve as a kind of guide or compass to conduct life and navigate the world. That is what actually I have already mentioned, that this set of belief or a set of ideas or perceptions or conceptions of your life that will help you to, to lead a guided life, or it acts like a compass, a rudder. It's just like a rudder, it's just like a compass. And accordingly, you will conduct your life and navigate the world. Navigate means that will help you to explore the world and to lead your life when you have this set of beliefs in your life. Then in the third paragraph of the same slide, it says that all isms and all religions fall under this definition of philosophy. So you see, all the religious belief, they will come under this definition of philosophy, that philosophy is a set of beliefs. You remember that Riazul, the other Riazul, are you with us? Riazul, are you here?
Yes, sir, I am here.
Riazul, remember that yesterday, in our last lecture, you told me that you would like to lead your life according to your religious belief. And when you're frustrated,
Yes, sir.
when you don't find any guidance, then you go back to your religious belief, and that gives you the light, rather I should say, right? That is your
Yes, sir.
that is your compass, and with that religious belief, you will navigate your worldly life and also the afterlife, right?
Yes, sir.
So here you see, these isms or these religious beliefs, they are the set of beliefs, and we can also define it in that way. For example, here it says Buddhism, capitalism, mysticism, existentialism, dualism. So all these kind of isms, they are set beliefs, and we can define philosophy. Under this banner, that philosophy is a kind of set of beliefs. Now, in the next slide, you can see it says philosophy as rational inquiry. So you see, we try to find the definition that what is philosophy. Philosophy means rational inquiry. That means using your rational, using your logic to find answers to the questions. Like definition 3 expresses philosophy as we are going to understand in these, in this lecture. That is philosophy in this sense, like definition 1, but unlike definition 2. Definition 1 was academic discipline. Remember? Philosophy is a kind of academic, or it's a kind of one kind of discipline that we study in the different kinds of institutes, in the university specifically. So you can take the definition 1 if you just like the rational inquiry, but unlike definition 2, the isms sometimes actually they don't bother about logic, and sometimes we don't want to use logic, right? For example, for religious belief. Is there anyone, in this lecture from Hindu background? Any Hindu student from Hinduism? Any brothers or sisters from Hinduism? Is there anyone?
Sir, I am.
Anushka, are you with us? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Anushka. For example, if I ask you this question, according to scripture, the Lord Ganesh, what is his face like? Lord Ganesh?
his face is like an elephant.
His face is like an elephant. Now, this is a religious belief, right, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
And you see, I cannot challenge it because that's a belief. If I ask Anushka, Anushka, how is it possible that a man with a man's body, he can have a head like an elephant? Then I can ask another question. Why elephant? Why not a cow? Why not an ant? Why not a crow? Or why not a goat? Why not a sheep? Or why not a camel? Do you understand me what I'm saying, Anushka?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you see, when you go for the rational inquiry, then the second definition that philosophy is a kind, I mean, it's a set of beliefs. If you try to use that to define this rational inquiry, then you will find that it's quite conflicting. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
It's not only in Hinduism, also in Buddhism, you will find this kind of, what should I say? I must not say that illogical or irrational because everybody respects their own religion. So I should say that, I mean, rationally you cannot prove it. Even in our religion, you see the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he ascended to the sky. That we call in our religion Miraj Gamun. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The Prophet Muhammad actually he ascended to the sky. And at that time, you can ask that 1500 years back, how can a man he can ascend to the sky? So that is a rational inquiry. But as a set of belief, that is a part of my belief. I cannot ignore it, and I don't dare to challenge it as a Muslim. But
Yes,
when you put it in this third category of the philosophical definition, then you will find that it sounds very irrational. May the Almighty forgive us. And also, Anushka, please don't take it personally. I'm also questioning my own religious,
No, sir.
certain point, just to give you an understanding that this part of the philosophical definition, the rational inquiry, that is very risky, very dicey. It investigates into into this kind of belief, and also it questions the belief. Okay, and it's very empirical, and sometimes it's very scientific. So that's a different thing, whether you believe in it or not. But that is the part of the philosophy and philosophical understanding. So we must embrace this. Okay. So that's it says that the definition one, there is no problem with this rational inquiry because in the academia, in the university level, you can see all the time we're asking questions, and we teach, our students to ask questions, to inquire into the existing phenomenon, so that they can learn, they can create something new. That should be our purpose. That should be our purpose. That our students, they will be curious, they will learn how to wonder, and also they will learn how to ask questions, and they will also learn how to find answer to these questions. That what we should cultivate in the academic arena. But in reality, maybe we're not doing that, but that's a different discussion. We'll not go for that. But in the academia, actually, what we should do this rational inquiry, it must be established in the discipline, in the departments. Do you understand what I'm saying? Masroom and other people, Raihan, Dil,
Yes, sir.
Bushra.
Yes, sir.
So do you get my point, what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That in the academia, the philosophical definition there, and in the rational inquiry, in this way, the definition of philosophy, they go together. But when I say philosophy as a set of beliefs, and when I try to define it in that way, then we'll find it's conflicting, contradictory in most of the cases, because religious belief, we cannot question them. We just have to accept them, embrace them, love them, without questioning their existence and without questioning their validity. That is the idea. So you see, philosophy as a discipline is very tricky, and also it's very enlightening. I must say that it will enlighten you. It will help you to understand the world. It will help you to create a new worldview. It will help you to understand or to perceive the world in a new way. It will help you to conceive the world, conceive the worldview, conceive your life in a different way, to understand your life in a different way. So that's why as a discipline is very important. Now I will jump to the next slide. Now here, in this slide number 8, you can see it says, now Doing philosophy, the generation and evaluation of ideas and beliefs. Actually, how actually we will generate or create ideas and how we will evaluate those ideas and beliefs. So philosophy as a discipline, as a stream of knowledge, it will help us to do that. So philosophy will help us to generate, to create knowledge, to create ideas and beliefs, and also it will help us to evaluate, to estimate ideas and beliefs. Now, here you see, doing philosophy roughly consists of two parts. One, the generation of possible ideas, concepts, views, beliefs, or answers with respect to some issue or question. So the generation of possible ideas, concepts, views, beliefs, or answers with respect to some issue or question. So there will be some kind of issue or a question, and on the basis of that question, then I will try to generate, I will try to create a new concept, a new idea, a new view, a new belief, or I will try to answer a question. So that is the way how actually it will generate. And on the evaluation part, what philosophy will do? The evaluation of those generated beliefs in order to figure out which makes sense and which don't, which is true and which is false, which is good and which is bad, or which we should accept and which we should reject. So you see, philosophy, at the very first place, it will help us to create or to generate new ideas. And then also philosophy will facilitate us to evaluate the ideas that I have already generated, the ideas that I have already created. How actually I will do the evaluation? I will do the evaluation in such a way that I will try to find out that the generated or newly created ideas or beliefs are whether actually that is false, or whether that is good or beneficial, whether that is bad or whether that is conducive to our life, or whether should we accept that newly generated belief or whether should we reject it. So you see, the philosophy actually it completely shapes the whole human psyche, your life. It helps you to shape your life, to shape your mind, psyche. So thus actually it helps us. So it will help us to generate or create new ideas, and at the same time, it will also help us to evaluate the same generated, the newly generated, newly created ideas and beliefs. Okay, up to this, do you have any question? Or if there is any confusion, you can ask me, then I will answer it. After that, I will move on to the next slide. If anyone have anything to add or anything to say?
Sir, number 2 টা আরেকবার।
Number 2 means in the
evaluation.
Evaluation, okay.
Yes.
All right. For example, okay, let me tell you in our mother tongue, so it will be very easy for you to understand. So what is the first task of the philosophy? Philosophy প্রথম কাজ, philosophy আমাদেরকে সাহায্য করবে, এটা আমাদেরকে ট্রেন করবে, এটা আমাদেরকে শেখাবে যে কিভাবে একটা আইডিয়া, একটা কনসেপ্ট, একটা ভিউ বা বিলিফ সেটাকে জেনারেট করা যায়। সো সেটা আমাকে সেভাবে ফ্যাসিলিটেট করবে। এখন একটা আইডিয়া, আমি একটা কনসেপ্ট জেনারেট করলাম, এখন এটা কি কোনো কাজে লাগবে বা এটাকে এমনি এমনি করলাম, এটার উপকারিতাটা কি, এটাকে আমি রাখবো না ফেলে দিব, এটা কি মানুষের কোনো কাজে লাগবে বা আমার নিজেরই কোনো প্রয়োজন হবে কিনা, এটা আমাকে এখন ইভালুয়েট করতে হবে না, নাকি আমি একটা আইডিয়া জেনারেট করে সেটা আমি ছেড়ে দিব, সেটা ঠিক হলো কি বেঠিক হলো আমি জাজ করব? What do you say? Shouldn't we evaluate or judge our belief or ideas? Our creative... Yes, go on. Yes.
Sir, it should be evaluated or judged.
Exactly. So the philosophy helps us with this one. So just remember these two words. One is generation and another one is evaluation. So philosophy helps us to generate, and then it helps us to evaluate the same idea that we have generated. Got it?
Yes,
that's
sir.
a summary. Okay, excellent. All right. Now let's move on to the next slide. Slide 9. Here you see creativity and reason. Creativity and reason. Can anyone tell me that is there any specific relation between creativity and reason? Any relation between these two, creativity and reason? Can anyone tell me? Okay. Now, if you don't have anything to opine, then I will continue. Now, here you see the two steps show that the philosopher should be able to create as well as destroy ideas or beliefs. Because when you generate ideas, and if you find that that ideas is not beneficial for the rest of the human folk, or I mean, rest of the people or the society or the civilization, then in that case, what will you do? What will you do? The beliefs or ideas that you have generated, if it is not fruitful, then what will you do? আমরা কোনো একটা আইডিয়া জেনারেট করলাম এবং জেনারেট করার পর দেখি যে এটা কোনো কাজেরই কিছু না, তাহলে সেটা কি করবো? বাসায় রেখে দিব, প্রিজার্ভ করব, সেটা পাবলিশ করে মানুষকে খাওয়াবো? কি করবো তখন? যদি আমার নিজের কাছে যদি মনে হয় যে এটা কোনো ভ্যালুই নাই, এটা দিয়ে কোনো কাজই হবে না, তখন কি করবো সেটা?
রিজেক্ট দিস।
বিলিভ করব না, প্র্যাকটিস করব না সেটা, সেই আইডিয়া।
অথবা আইডিয়াটা আমি তো ডিস্ট্রয় করে ফেললাম, এটা নিয়ে কথাই বললাম না, কোথাও লিখেও রাখলাম না, রাইট?
জি স্যার।
তার মানে হচ্ছে যে ফিলোসফার তিনি যেমন সৃষ্টিও করবেন, তিনি আবার কি করবেন?
ডিস্ট্রয় করবেন।
Exactly. So you see, he has these two powers. I mean, it sounds like a god, but আমরা ওভাবে বলবো না, আমরা জাস্ট আমাদের আলোচনার স্বার্থে বলি যে সে কি করে। সে তার শুধু আইডিয়ার ক্ষেত্রেই ব্যবহার করছে, সে তার অন্য কিছু তৈরি করছে না, just beliefs and ideas. Now here you see, the philosopher thus must be both imaginative as well as reserved. Now here we have some binary oppositions, not exactly binary oppositions, but we can say binaries. যে দুইটা একটার সাথে আরেকটা যায়, এরকম কিছু ইস্যুস এখানে এখন আসবে। Now what does it say? A philosopher, what will you do? That he will be imaginative as well as reserved. তিনি কল্পনা প্রবণ হবেন, আবার কখনো কখনো তিনি কল্পনা করবেন না, চুপচাপ থাকবেন, রিজার্ভ থাকবেন। Then sometimes he will be liberal as well as conservative. তিনি কখনো হবেন কি উদার, আবার কখনো তিনি হচ্ছেন রক্ষণশীল। He is artsy and then nerdy. তিনি হচ্ছেন কৌশলী বা সবকিছু, আবার তিনি খুব নার্ডের মতো, আমরা যেটাকে বলি what do you say, sometimes you call it he's like a nerd. You understand? That means
ক্ষুদ্র বা ক্ষীণ এরকম কিছু,
বা বলতে পারি দুষ্ট টাইপের বা বোকা, এরকম একটু নার্ডি, বা একটা জিনিস নিয়ে সে সময় লেগেই থাকে এরকম। আর আর্টসি মানে দ্যাট মিন্স হি লাইক টু ইউজ দ্য আর্ট অফ ডুইং সামথিং লাইক দ্যাট। আর দুইটা আমরা এরকম পজিটিভ এবং নেগেটিভ একটা কম্বিনেশন, অর্থাৎ তার ক্রিয়েট এবং ডিস্ট্রয়ের মধ্যে এগুলো সব পড়ে। ওকে, and then also creative as well as rational. This is the thing, creativity and reason. Now, in sum, the philosopher should be open-minded, but not so open-minded that his or her brain is going to fall out. বলছে এমন open-minded নয় যে সে open-minded এর জন্য যেন সে নিজে আবার কোনো কিছুর সাথে সামঞ্জস্যহীন হয়ে যায়, এমন না। That means he will be liberal, at the same time he will be conservative. That means he will always preserve a kind of balance in between. Do you understand? So a philosopher will always he will have some kind of balance, I mean, in his activity, in his action. So philosophy, actually, it's a kind of activity. It's nothing inert, নিষ্ক্রিয় কোনো কিছু না। এটা একটা activity. এখানে আমাকে সক্রিয়ভাবে কোনো কিছু করতে হচ্ছে, to participate, because if you don't participate in the philosophical activities actively, then you will not be able to generate something new, to generate something, and as well as will not be able to evaluate it, and later on to accept it, to embrace it, or to reject it, or to destroy it. So you need to use your creativity, at the same time you need to use your reason. Let me give you one example. There are lots of people in our society, they're very creative, but they don't know how to control their creativity. They don't know how to use their creativity, or how far they should be creative. They simply don't know about it. Then what happens? After a certain time, people don't remember them, and they lose their creativity. They can't create anything anymore, because one thing that was missing from their creativity, and that is, what is that? What is that? That you are only creative, you only know how to create, but you don't know how to control it. That means you don't know how to use your reason at certain point. Because with your creative mind, if you can't use your reason and logic, then your creativity at certain point, it will sound like something which is, or it will look like something which is absurd and eccentric, unusual, unnecessary, and futile. আমার কথা কি বুঝতে পারছো তোমরা?
জি স্যার।
What I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
একটা মানুষ প্রচন্ড রকমের কল্পনা প্রবণ, হি ইজ ভেরি ইমাজিনেটিভ, বাট হি ডাজন্ট নো হাউ টু ইউজ হিজ ইমাজিনেশন ইন দ্য প্রপার ম্যানার। তার মধ্যে অর্ডার নাই, তার মধ্যে লজিক নাই, তার মধ্যে রিজন নাই। তাহলে ওই ইমাজিনেশন, ওই ক্রিয়েটিভিটি কি মূল্য আছে? সেটা কিছু ক্রিয়েট করে মানুষকে উপকার করতে পারবে না সে, যার কোন সে মিনিংলেস জিনিস ক্রিয়েট করছে। কারণ তুমি যখনই ক্রিয়েটিভিটির মধ্যে রিজন না থাকবে, দ্যাট উইল বি মিনিংলেস। এই জন্যই দেখবে যে অনেক সময় আমরা অ্যাবস্ট্রাক্ট আর্ট বুঝি না। ওয়াই? মানে অ্যাবস্ট্রাক্ট আর্টের মধ্যে আমরা প্রায়শই কোনো রিজন খুঁজে পাই না, যে এটা ঠ্যাং ওখানে হবে কেন, মাথাটা এখানে গেল কেন, যেটা যেখানে থাকবার কথা সেটা সেখানে নাই। ডেফিনেটলি দেয়ার ইজ এ রিজন। আমি ক্রিয়েটিভ যে পেইন্টার বা যে আর্টিস্ট, তার অবশ্যই রিজন আছে, কিন্তু ইউজুয়ালি আমরা অনেক সময় রিজনটা ধরতে পারি না। কিন্তু যখন রিজনটা ধরতে পারি তখন সেই ক্রিয়েটিভ আর্টটাকে কি মনে হয় বলো তো?
ইউজলেস মনে হয়।
যদি রিজনটা ধরতে পারো,
যদি ধরতে পারি তখন মানে ইভ্যালুয়েট করা যায় আর কি।
এক্স্যাক্টলি, দেন ইউ ফাইন্ড দ্যাট দ্যাট ইজ মিনিংফুল, রাইট?
Yes,
আমরা
sir.
যদি কোনো ক্রিয়েটিভ আর্ট, সেটা একটা লেখা হতে পারে, সেটা একটা পেইন্টিং হতে পারে, ইফ ইউ ডোন্ট ফাইন্ড এনিথিং, এনি রিজন ইন ইট, দেন আমরা একটা সার্টেন পয়েন্টে যে উই লুজ আওয়ার ইন্টারেস্ট ইন দ্যাট ক্রিয়েটিভ ওয়ার্ক, রাইট?
Yes, sir.
That's the thing. So philosophy actually it helps us to do that, to be creative and at the same time to use our logic or reason. Now, here it is a common myth about open-mindedness, because we have already mentioned that they will be open-minded and at the same time they will be conservative, that is liberal and conservative, and you have to have some balance in between. Now, the common myth about open-mindedness: some people believe that they are open-minded because they believe in things that are not commonly accepted. However, this has nothing to do with open-mindedness, as being open-minded has nothing to do with what you believe. Now, this is the problem. Sometimes we think that, oh, he's a philosopher, that means he's very open-minded, and they always believe in the weird and eccentric stuff. They don't believe in the common things, so they are very uncommon, and they are not easily, widely accepted in the society. আমাদের যে কেউ যদি একটু দার্শনিক কথাবার্তা বলে বা একটু দর্শন নিয়ে চর্চা করতে চায়, বা জীবনযাপন, যাবিত জীবন যদি একটু ওরকম ফিলোসফিক্যাল, মানে লজিক এন্ড ক্রিয়েটিভিটির কম্বিনেশন থাকে, আমরা সবসময় একটা মিথ তৈরি করি যে ও লোকটা অনেক ওপেন মাইন্ডেড, ও সবই একসেপ্ট করে। কমনলি যার মানুষ যে বিশ্বাস করে না, উনি সেটা বিশ্বাস করে থাকে। ও তো ফিলোসফার, এর জন্য এরকম হয়েছে, এই সাবজেক্টটাই ওকে নষ্ট করে দিচ্ছে। ডোন্ট ইউ সে দ্যাট?
ইয়েস স্যার।
অনেক সময় আমরা সাবজেক্টের দোষ দেই না, যে ইংলিশে পড়ছে আর কত ভালো হবে, because people they think that we are very liberal and we are very open. That means we don't go by the social code of conduct, acceptable norms, যেটা আমরা তো সেটা দিয়ে যাই না, সেটা মানি না, এরকম ভাবে। এই জন্য ভাবে যে এরা একটু অন্যরকম হয়, নাস্তিক কিংবা খুবই সংস্কৃতি মনা, এদের দিয়ে হবে না, সংসার হবে না, চলবে না, something like that. Just so this kind of stereotyping is also going against these people. So open-mindedness, that means when a philosopher is open-minded, that it creates a problem. Then even worse, if you believe things to be true exactly because they are not commonly accepted, you are in fact quite narrow-minded, since apparently you are unwilling to consider the commonly accepted answer as a possible answer. Now, this is another thing, and which is very interesting situation. You can say it's a kind of dilemma for the philosopher, that when there is something which is commonly accepted and you have a philosophical mind, you know how to use your logic, and is it true that which is commonly believed or commonly accepted, or any kind of commonly accepted norms in the society, can you say that that is always right, that is the just thing, that is the right thing? Can you say that? For example, still in some part of our country, dowry is it's just a common norm, and people don't bother about it, and they take dowry. আমি যৌতুকের কথা বলছি, and in those kind of society, actually they don't care about it. But if a person who can use his logic, and if he has a philosophical bent of mind, if he questions that kind of existing norm, then people will say that, oh, he is very narrow-minded, he can't embrace which is commonly accepted in the society. তোমরা কি আমার বুঝতে পারছো লজিকটা, যে ফিলোসফারদের জীবনের সমস্যাটা কোথায়, তারা কি কি দুর্ভোগের মধ্যে দিয়ে তাদের যেতে হয় in their life? Okay. Now here you see that open-mindedness, what is it actually? You see, can you see the screen? It's an excellent phrase. It says open-mindedness actually it's an attitude. Open-mindedness, it's a kind of attitude. That means how you look, towards something. We will judge accordingly that whether you're open-minded or not. Now, okay, so here the question is, it's a very rhetorical question. It says, what makes one open-minded? Open-mindedness has to do with your attitude towards beliefs. That means how actually you judge things. That is the attitude actually you have to consider. For example, you are able to consider alternative beliefs. You have no initial preference of one belief over the other. You accept the possibility that existing beliefs are false. In sum, you are critical towards existing beliefs. So what is open-mindedness? This is the true definition of the open-mindedness. Don't forget this. Always try to remember this kind of stuff in your life. And if you can remember some of this stuff from this philosophy, I can challenge you that you're going to have a very good life, in the coming days. Because some of the stuff you can apply in your life. It will help you to clear your views, to get a clear view, about the surroundings, about the world phenomena. And it will help you to lead your life in that way. For example, here we see, just look at this word. You are able to consider alternative beliefs. How many people in our society, they can go for alternative beliefs? Even how many of us, we can think of alternative beliefs when we see a certain kind of set of beliefs? Okay, I will give you an example. In our society, what is the common norm? In the marriage system, that the girl after the marriage, she will go to her in-laws house, right?
Yes, sir.
If the opposite happens, after marriage, the boy, he will start living with his in-laws. Then what will happen? আমাদের কমন নর্ম কি? বিয়ের পর মেয়েরা যায় শ্বশুর বাড়ি। যদি উল্টোটা ঘটে, বিয়ের পর কোনো ছেলে তার শ্বশুর শাশুড়ি যেহেতু একা বৃদ্ধ, তাদের সেবার জন্য সে ওই স্ত্রীর সাথে তার বাড়িতে অবস্থান করছে, যেহেতু তার বাবা মা সবল আর অন্য ভাই বোন আছে টেক কেয়ার করার জন্য। তখন সে তার বউয়ের সাথে গেল, তার বৃদ্ধ শ্বশুর শাশুড়ির সেবা যত্ন বা তাদের টেক কেয়ার করার জন্য সে বউয়ের সাথে তার শ্বশুর বাড়িতেই থাকছে। বলো তো সিচুয়েশনটা কি দাঁড়াবে? সমাজে ওই ছেলের অবস্থান কি হবে? What will be his position in the society?
ওনাকে থাকে
ঘর জামাই বলবে।
ঘর জামাই বলবে স্যার।
That means,
yeah, they will say there is no spine.
Yes, people will say that he doesn't have a spine, he's spineless, he doesn't have any backbone, and he's shameless, he is brute, uncivilized. And at the same time, people will also say that ছেলের বাবা মা কেমন, ছেলের বউকে বাড়িতে না রেখে ছেলেরই পাঠাই দিতে শ্বশুর বাড়ি।
Yes, sir.
So you see, this is the common belief. So even in our society, how many of you actually will accept this? তোমাদের মধ্যে কজন আছো? আমি ছেলেদেরকে যদি বলি, তোমরা কি প্রস্তুত আছো এই জাতীয় জিনিস অল্টারনেটিভ বিলিফে যাওয়ার জন্য, যে না আমি আমার শ্বশুর বাড়িতে যে থাকবো, আমার তো আরো 2-4 ভাই আছে, দেখুক আমার শ্বশুর শাশুড়ি অনেক অসুস্থ, আমি তাদের সাথে যে থাকি কিছু। কোন ছেলে আছো, কজন আছো এটা এমব্রেস করবার জন্য এই অল্টারনেটিভ বিলিফটা? কজনের সাহস আছে? আছে কারো সাহস এখানে এই মুহূর্তে?
আমার নাই স্যার।
Because you have, এটা সত্যি কথা, because you have to consider your family and also your society. You have to take into your consideration all these things. আমি এই সমাজে থেকে তো এগুলো ইগনোর করতে পারবো না। Can I ignore that? আমার সে সাহস কি আছে? কারণ সমাজ তো আমাকে সেভাবে তৈরি করে। So you see, I am not open-minded. My attitude about this particular marriage system, you see, I cannot go for alternative beliefs. তাহলে প্রথম ক্রাইটেরিয়াতে আমি হেরে গেলাম। কিন্তু এটা যদি কারো থাকে, কেউ যদি সে চিন্তা করতে পারে, দ্যাট ইজ ওপেন-মাইন্ডেডনেস। এর মানে এই না যে আমি সাথে সাথে করে বসলাম, কিন্তু কেউ করলেও অন্তত আমি সেটা অ্যাকসেপ্ট করার মতো আমার সাহস থাকবে। দ্যাট ইজ ওপেন-মাইন্ডেডনেস। আমি কি বোঝাতে পারছি তোমাদেরকে? যেমন ধরো আমাদের মাসুম যেখানে থাকছে, অ্যাকচুয়ালি হিজ নেটওয়ার্ক মোস্ট অফ দ্য টাইম অ্যাকচুয়ালি ইজ ভেরি স্লো and very weak. So Masum actually he always has to struggle, and he finds it very difficult to continue his online classes. Right, Masum? Masum, can you hear me? Masum কি আছে না চলে গেছে?
Yes sir, yes sir.
এখন মাসুমের মা বাবা যদি বলে যে ওই শহরে কোনো একটা মেয়ের সাথে তোর বিয়ে দিয়ে দিই, ওদের বাড়িতে ভালো নেটওয়ার্ক পাওয়া যাবে, ওখানে যে থাক, ক্লাসগুলো ঠিকঠাক কর। এখন এই যে তোমরা হাসতেছো দেখছো, আমি এইটাই চাচ্ছিলাম, জাস্ট এই ইফেক্টটা আমি শুনতে চাচ্ছিলাম। ইউ সি, উই আর নট রেডি টু অ্যাকসেপ্ট দিস। এটা শুনলেই হাসি আসে যে এটা কেমন কথা বলেছেন। মাসুমের সুবিধার জন্য যদি তোর বাবা মা ওকে শহরে কোনো একটা ফ্যামিলির সাথে ভালো রাখতে চায় তাদের ছেলেকে, আর মাসুমও যদি সুখে থাকে, তাহলে আমার সমস্যা কোথায়? So you see, I'm not ready to embrace the alternative beliefs. Now, second point, you have no initial preference of one belief over the other. I'm saying that only Islam is the best and Hinduism, it doesn't have any value. Vice versa. People from the Hindu community, the Hindu fanatics, they think that only Hinduism is the best. There is no place for Islam in India or in the Indian subcontinent. In the same way, Christian people, they think that their belief is the best belief and all the rest of the beliefs in the world, they're inferior to all other beliefs. So you see, you cannot have this kind of preference. You have to be very much liberal. And without that kind of bias, if you can consider any religious belief and you can talk about them without being biased, then that is open-mindedness. But if you start your conversation or a discourse as a Muslim or as a Hindu, and if you try to establish that that is the best, then obviously you are biased and you're not open-minded. So our discourse will not continue, it will not go further, and no outcome will be there out of it. Then next, you accept the possibility that the existing beliefs are false. There is a possibility that the beliefs that we see today, maybe after 5, 10, 20, or 100 years later, we will find them that they are false. For example, socialism, before 90s, it was embraced in many parts of the world, and there were lots of political parties, they believed in this socialism or communism. But now in this 21st century, we can see that very few countries actually they have this socialism or communism in their country, and very few political parties they actually have their motto or belief just like this, the communism or this or the socialism. So you see, you have to have that mind, or you have to have that bent of mind that anytime any existing belief, it might prove false. So if you can do that, that means you're open-minded. So you don't say that this is the only thing that is the truth and it will never change. You cannot say that. If you say that, or if you are biased in that way, then you cannot be impartial and you simply can't be open-minded. So how can we summarize it? You are critical towards existing beliefs. That means whatever existing is there, any kind of belief is there, you must be very critical. Critical means always you have to be ready to question it. And if there is any anomalies, you have the courage to question it, and accordingly you can create a new belief, and then you can evaluate it, whether you will keep it or whether you will leave it. Is that clear up to this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, do you have any more time? So when actually this class will end? I think, is it 1:20 or we are already done?
Sir, already time over, sir.
Oh, no. Okay, in that case, actually, I will not continue. I will stop it here. But still, if you have any question, we can stay 2 or 3 more minutes here. Then it will be 1:10, and after that, I will conclude. We will end this session. So,
Time
yes,
is over.
that was your question. Time is over. Okay, good. I will take it as a reminder, not as a question. So, do you have any question or any opinion?
No, sir, I don't have any question.
So far you have understood today's lecture. Was it okay?
Yes, sir. Almost okay.
All right. So I will share the video as usual, just like last semester, and also I will provide you with this handout. I mean, this PowerPoint presentation. You will also get it, and I will share it on your Facebook group, and you can collect it from there. So you don't need to worry about it that you don't have these or that, or you haven't understood this or that. So don't worry. So you can go back to the video and you can watch it again. Then you can get yourself. I mean, you can get the idea from them. Still, if you have any confusion, you can talk to me, or you can leave your questions on the Facebook group or Messenger. Okay?
Okay, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, and hope to see you next time, inshallah. Until then, take care of yourself.
Sorry, sir.
Stay safe.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Take care.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam.